Welcome back to episode whatever the heck it is on this Corolla build. I'm enjoying it so far. It's been really fun. That quarter panel's been done. It is in primer. The same with this one. Got a small little dent that I had to fill up there. Same with the side, but that can sit there until I'm ready to sand it all down. Next step is going underneath and taking out the diff, the suspension, the leaf springs, the shocks, and I'll probably drop the exhaust off as well. I just want to have a good look underneath the chassis and make sure that there's no hidden rust that I don't know about. It really does look good under there. There's a lot of dirt, but once that's off, I think I'll be pretty impressed. So I've got an assortment of tools ready to go because getting up and down when you're laying on your back doing this kind of job is a pain in the bum. So hopefully those tools will do me. Let's put the camera somewhere and see if, we can get this out relatively easy. All right, actually, before we do that, let's jack the car up even more so I got more space to work with under here. I think that's going to be a really good idea. Well, I'll take you with me under the car. Hopefully this comes out half alright. Let's see what we got going on here. Obviously leaf springs need to be cleaned up. The rail up here, it's got a lot of dirt. There's a bit of crud up under here. This looks like the original, sound deadener coating or protective, whatever the heck it is. Slight bit of very light surface rust up here. Oh, there's my weld job that I did from the other day. The suspension is actually loose, so someone's been playing with this already. Good thing I didn't drive too much when I moved the car. All these lines I'm just gonna have to make sure are not corroded anywhere or clogged up. Apart from it being dirty, someone's given up on this thing. They might not have had the tools or the time to do it, but I do. Need to get some more exhaust bracket mounts. These are the brackets for the tow bar, which I'm not going to be using. It does come with the tow bar, and it does have the accessory plug for it, but I will not be using the tow bar on it. Let's start re-undoing all this. It looks like it's going to be pretty easy to do. I've already taken the center drive shaft out, so it's going to be a piece of cake. Alright, so now that those leaf spring holders, or whatever they're called, are off, I have to disconnect the brake line, and then I have to disconnect the handbrake cable that runs to each drum brake. Alright, that's finally disassembled. Wear protective goggles because brake fluid in your eye is not going to be fun. Alright, so we've got the jack holding up the main weight of the diff now that it's disconnected from the leaf springs. We just need to pop out these brackets so the leaf springs will fall down, we can get the diff out the back. And now with everything out of the way, we can get a close look at what the go is with underneath the body of this car. Yeah, it's dirty, but it actually looks clean as far as rust and damage is concerned. I think I'm going to have to get under here with a scrubbing brush and a lot of soapy water and detergent and get this all cleaned up so I can have a really good look at it. But even the wheel guard looks pretty decent. So that's great. So much better having all this access under here though. Just so much buildup of crud over time. Look at that. It's like a paper. Look at that, it's good steel under there. So we have an assortment of things that we got to clean up. Obviously the leaf springs have to be tidied up, and I will tidy up these brackets just so that there's no surface rust on them anymore. Give them a coating in something that will protect them in the future. Alright, I can't remember where I left you, but I was talking about doing something with the underbody of this car, or you know, all this stuff. Quick update. I went under and I actually gurneyed this whole thing with the pressure sprayer. It was covered in what looked to be absolutely covered in mud and clay. So I gurneyed this whole thing out, and I then had to sweep the garage of water out as well. Since then though, I grabbed my rust converter spray, and any surface rust that was sitting on the underbody, I hit it with rust converter. That's done its job now, which is really good. It was all just surface rust, which I'm really happy with. So this underbody is now pretty much done. In a nice black protective barrier again, which is really good. The whole of the underneath of the car did not need to be done. There was no need to take off, for example, this coating of original underbody, apart from where I chipped back the areas that were exposed so I could access them a bit easier. No need to take this back to steel, absolutely zero. So now we can get on to fixing up some of the parts that run with the car. Alright, so now that's got pretty much no surface rust on it anymore. I'm going to give it a wax and grease remover, hit with a clean towel, and then I'm going to still paint on some good quality rust converter. After that, we'll give it a coat in just some black enamel and let it dry. So now that that has been prepared, I'm going to let this sit for quite a while and let it really dry up, and let that rust converter do its job. You can see how this new rust converter here is still white, but up here it's all turned black. That's doing its job. Alright, so this is well dried off, which is really good. You can see that the color of it is no more that color and now this color. So this is ready for some black enamel. So while that's drying in the sun out there, I now have to do the rest of these pieces. It's going to be exactly the same process. Give them a good clean up, get rid of any surface rust, rust remove, and then coat in black enamel. And there we go, this is done. All the brackets are nice and tidied up, new paint on them, the rubbers are still in good condition. The springs are fine now, which is good. New suspension I'll clean up a little bit, but not too worried because they'll get replaced. Now, geez, the birds are out in force today. Now I've got to work on this sucker. I'm going to quickly remove the brake line, which is going to be very easy, just a 10mm spanner to remove the ends and then get rid of these little metal lips. And same process, just going to strip it down and just give it a tidy up so I can go back on the car. Even if I don't get this mechanically correct right now, it's not going to be the end of the world. At least it'll be clean and easy to work on when the time comes to do any mechanical work to this that it might need. So let's get this cleaned up, tidied, so it looks presentable, and when we're under the car, it's not going to be all messy and grimy and gross. Now that's coated really well. We're going to let it set so that it dries totally black, and when we're back we'll give it a coating of enamel. Geez, it's so important to wear a mask, a good respiratory mask that stops out paint fumes when you're spraying, because damn, it stuff is strong. Getting it in your lungs is not good. So this has come out really nice actually, so good for a really quick job. It definitely is not a concourse restoration. It's just so that it looks tidy underneath the car, and most of the surface rust has been taken care of. On top of that, it's been rust converted, but you know, when someone looks underneath, they're not going to be disgusted at all the mud and dirt and crud that was under there previously.
Alright, it is the next day. That paint has dried nicely, and it's time to get that diff back into this area. So let's waste no time and get it back in there. That's actually a really awkward job. Now I'm going to jack up the whole unit, get these ends into those, and then we can tighten it all down. I'll also have to reinstall the brake line and everything, so let's get to it. Alrighty, we have got the diff back in place and it's looking mighty fine. The mounts are all done up nice and firm. The brake line has been reinstalled and the little crimps have been crimped back down. The leaf springs are all firm in place. I even managed to reinsert the handbrake cables correctly. So they're all sorted. That's great. I can't believe how simple this car is. Like, the whole rear end of this is just a diff, some springs, 2 shocks, and a very, very simple brake line and handbrake setup. I'm loving it. Well, that's gonna do it for this video. I think that's enough. I've done a fair bit. It might not seem like I've done a fair bit, but it has been a lot of work. This has been 2 days of playing with the underside of this car, and I'm sick of laying on my back. I'll take a break and I'll continue doing maybe some body work. I might actually start doing the doors or the panels next. But I'm glad that the majority of underneath the car is pretty much sorted now. So that's a big relief. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.